To thine own self be true. Hi, I am Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. We like to, on this show, talk about business ideas, whether they be principles, strategies, or tactics that you could use in your business. And so I'm using this obscure quote, not so obscure. You know the quote, to thine own self be true. Where does it come from? It comes from Shakespeare. More specifically, Hamlet. More specifically, Polonius spoke it. And it's funny because historically, if you look at the play as a whole, this character was saying this, but it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of ironic, because the character was a bit of a blowhard and a bit of saying things that don't necessarily have a direct play on what's going on in the scene. So it's kind of this loose advice that he's giving. But what's happened in modern days, we've taken sayings like this and we've used it and kind of given it our own twist on it. So when people say to thine own self be true, it has this deeper meaning now in 21st century when we're talking. And so I want to talk more on that as opposed to what it originally meant. Let's talk about what it kind of means now, because I think it has a lot to do with the journey of the individual, and specifically, if you're a business owner, if you're an executive, if you're one of the people making the decisions in a business, it has to do with you, because you better know pretty clearly what you're being true to. I mean, you could take it a million different ways, because if you say, well, to your own self, okay, what's the self? You know, because we've all got at least one or two characters in there, and and you certainly don't want to be true to certain parts of yourself. You know, that wouldn't be good, because it's stuff that's always taking you in the wrong direction, is being true to that. But if you be true to a deeper self, the better self, shall we say, if you're able to do that, then you can get a lot done and not have all the, I guess you could say, conscience that comes along with the journey in life, if you just stick to your guns in terms of what you know is right. And more specifically, I'd say what you don't know is right is even more important, is just paying really close attention to not going the wrong way. The stuff that's clearly wrong. You never know when it comes to the details. So you're going along with your business, right? You're going along and you're just not sure exactly which way to go. But through process of elimination, you could determine which ways you shouldn't go, right? That's what you got to clear up early on. And it's really helpful to have people on your team that you could talk to, either whether they be advisors or whether they be people that understand it a little more, consultants, anybody that you can. If you can just talk out your reasoning and identify what you shouldn't do first, if what you need to do isn't completely clear, then identify what you shouldn't do. And then look at the remaining options and say, well, out of what we have, what makes the most sense? And if that doesn't work, what would we do? And if that doesn't work, what would we do? And obviously, you could never map out every single decision. But when it comes to the big decisions, the big concepts, especially in strategy, it's really important for you to be able to stick to a principle like to thine own self be true. You got to be able to step back and be able to look at a little bit of the bigger picture, as much as you're privy to. You know, none of us really have any idea what we're doing. We all got to kind of take our time with life and just, you go in one direction knowing that a lot of times it's going to be the wrong way, right? That's okay. As long as you don't intentionally go in the wrong way and you're clear-headed about what you're doing, and open to the fact that it may be a complete and utter mistake and failure, and knowing what the options are after that. Now, the options may change by the time you go through that mistake and you got to back up and start over again, but that's okay. I think the main thing I would say is get good ears to listen to you. Because I found over and over again with most entrepreneurs, with most business owners, with most executives, they need to be able to talk out their concepts. You don't fully understand it until you draw it out, until you talk it out, and really get a clear idea about where you're going. And then stick to it. Stick to your guns, do what you got to do, and get things done. There's a confidence that comes with knowing that you're at least not going in the way you know you shouldn't go, right? And having people kind of remind you of the things that you've already done that don't work is helpful too. Having those, even though they'll oftentimes be seen as negative voices around you, listening to the negative voices and considering their point of view first, it'll save you a bunch of time, a whole lot of headache, and it will keep that confidence level high, which is what you need to be able to lead people and be able to go to the next level with your business. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If you'd like some ideas on where to go with long-term strategies, I've got a book, 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. It's all about how to make yourself completely competition-proof by really standing out in the marketplace. You can get a free copy at amazonproofbook.com. We'll be back here tomorrow night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.